That's how far we've fallen. I know you'll be probably laughing and saying that's really funny, but it's not really funny. Now you have the con man in the White House pushing Earth Day, which I have to get back to. The climate threat now is a greater threat than radical Islam. Last I checked, the climate didn't cut the throats of Christians in Libya. But there's someone tell that to Nancy Pelosi. Listen to clip number 4 on the Savage Nation.
So climate change can no longer be denied or ignored.
Why not?
The world is looking to the United States, to us, to lead. And that's what we're doing. We're using more clean energy than ever before.
Okay, let's stop right there. So Earth Day is coming up tomorrow. It was created by Ira Einhorn. At least he said he created it. Ira Einhorn created this fraud called Earth Day in 1970. This is the same Ira Einhorn who named himself the Unicorn, by the way. He murdered his girlfriend, Holly Maddox, stuffed her in a trunk, and put the trunk away in a closet. Then he fled to Europe and was on the run for 26 years. This is who we're quoting now on Earth Day? This is who Obama is now revering? The man who created this fraud? No, he's talking about not Frankenstein, but Frankenstein's invention called Earth Day. 855-400-7282. Countdown to Mecca by Michael Savage. It's a pretty good book. I think you're going to love it. Michael Savage is a New York Times bestseller. What do you mean is a New York Times bestseller? That's what they say about, no, he's a best-selling author. Who wrote this press release? What do you mean I'm a New York Times bestseller? How could a person be a New York Times bestseller? Michael Savage is a New York Times bestseller? Who's writing this ad copy? His latest tour de force novel, Countdown to Mecca, is a gripping page-turner, which takes readers on the journey of Jack Hatfield, a discredited journalist, who may be the only one who can stop an impending Third World War. Plane bound for Amman, Jordan, goes down in the Caspian Sea. The crash yields no survivors save the Russian mercenary who hijacked the flight, and a cast containing an agent of unprecedented destructive potential is missing from the wreckage. Well, that's interesting. The real plot is this. A hooker overhears a word spoken by American generals who are plotting to bomb Mecca, and then they try to kill her. That's where the story begins. It's exciting. It's set in San Francisco, but the book is not written for anyone who lives in San Francisco. They're not allowed to read it. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Hey, our Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com, the only company I trust for wealth insurance, gold and silver. Call 800-BUICOIN.
I will work with anybody. I've done that. I did it as senator. I will do it again. But I will also stand my ground when we need to, and part of that is getting unaccountable money out of politics, because we cannot afford that, even if it takes a constitutional amendment.
Isn't this funny? She's talking about getting unaccountable money out of politics, while even the Hillary-friendly New York Post's headline, quid pro quo, Bill cashed in when Hill was in O's cabinet, and big bucks came in from foreign interests. He raked in $48 million for speeches while his wife was Secretary of State. And what do you think they gave him the money for? Because he's such a compelling speaker? They say because she used her clout to help foreign donors get what they wanted out of American policy. It doesn't get any dirtier than this. It's a shock, but not unexpected. And I suspect this could bring her down. I don't think she can ride this one out. I think it's just starting. And I think that another Democrat will likely step forward who is cleaner than Hillary Clinton. That's what I think is about to happen. I only hope the same thing happens on the Republican side. We need better than Jeb, Obama, Bush. I'll be right back. It's the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage. Bye. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of unprotected talk, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
Did foreign entities receive any special treatment for making any kind of donations to the foundation or your husband?
Well, we're back into the political season, and therefore we will be subjected to all kinds of distraction and attacks, and I'm ready for that. I know that comes, unfortunately, with the territory. It is, I think, worth noting that the Republicans seem to be talking only about me. I don't know what to talk about if I weren't in the race. But I am in the race, and hopefully we'll get onto the issues, and I look forward to that.
They are on the issue. The issue was about the money, the gelt you raked in with your husband. Why don't you get on to the issues? The whole country's talking about the money that you and your husband took down. The country smells the stink. The rot coming out of Arkansas has reached us again. The offal coming out of the outhouse. We thought it was gone. Here it is again. New York Post, quid pro dough. Bill cashed in when Hill was in O's cabinet. Big bucks came from foreign interests. It's a huge book. It's going to be a bestseller. Big mega bucks tied to foreign donors, says the book. God himself couldn't have made these allegations if they weren't backed up with the facts without getting sued into the poorhouse. Now, there's another story. Here's the other story. You got U.S. warships. Apparently, they're running next to Iranian warships. Allegedly, the Iranian warships are bringing weapons to the Houthis in Yemen, right? Well, which side are we on? I thought Iran as our ally against ISIS in Iraq, but what, they're our enemy in Yemen? They're our ally in Iraq, but they're our enemy in Yemen? Who is in charge of this country? Which clown is in charge of the Joint Chiefs of Staff? Which clown is in charge of the government? One hand doesn't know what the other hand is doing. So let's follow this again. There's a show of force of our Navy trailing or blocking the Iranian Navy, which is a bunch of rust buckets, by the way, leftover garbage that some other third world hellholes sold them. Some Navy. They could sink the entire Navy by pressing one button. One carrier could press one button and there'd be no Iranian Navy. It would disappear. But there's a big show of force. Here's the U.S. Navy is here, and the Iranian rust buckets are there. And we're being told that the great Obama, the Admiral-in-Chief, is protecting us in Yemen from preventing the Iranian Navy from bringing weapons to the Houthi rebels. Okay. Then why is Iran our ally in Iraq against ISIS? Can anyone explain that to me? If you can, you win a Nobel Prize, because no one else can explain it to me. Here's another little story. Arab TV commentators claim Obama supports Iran because his father was a Shiite. Did you hear this one? Commentators on two different Arabic television programs claim that President Barack Obama is pushing a nuclear deal with Iran because his father, Barack Obama Sr., was a Shiite Muslim, and President Obama apparently wants the Shia-run government of Iran to be victorious in the region. Commentators made their remarks on the UK channel Al Hiwa TV on March 25 and on Foshbab TV in Saudi Arabia on April 10. Syrian writer Mutin Lazikanani and Hiwa said, "There is one thing we must not forget. I am not peddling some theory, and I am not being racist, but Barack Hussein Obama is the son of a Shiite Kenyan father. He spent much of his childhood in Mombasa, South Kenya," said Lazikani. "I visited this very area, and I can tell you that it is mostly Shiite. All the childhood memories of the man who rules the White House are Shiite memories." He goes on. "This is why the Iranian issue is so important to him and why he is so anxious for Iran to emerge victorious and for Syria and all the countries of the Arab Gulf to be shattered," said the Arab commentator Lazikani. Did you know that President Obama's father was born in Ngoma Kogelo, which is the southwest region of Kenya? But his own father, what do you mean his father? He had two fathers. I guess that's why Hillary wrote the book, Johnny Has Two Fathers. His own father had converted from Christianity to Islam and whatever. Who knows? It's too complicated. But the Sunni commentators are saying because he's a Shia, he's trying to destroy the Sunnis. And that's the whole story. They also claim that America created ISIS. The Americans believe they could fight the Sunnis. They call it terrorism, but this is not what they care about. They want to destroy the entire ideology. Shiite expansion is the best method to achieve this. And the Shiites are ready because they have an ideology to that effect. So America has used them. He said, if I were in America's place, I would use them too. Stanley Ann Dunham married Barack Hussein Obama Sr. on March 2nd, 1961. Their son, Barack Hussein Obama, was born on August 4, 1961. His parents divorced in 1964. Ann Dunham then married in 1965 Lolo Suetro, a Muslim from Indonesia. President Obama's biological father died in a car accident in Kenya on November 24, 1982. His stepfather, Sotoro, died from liver failure in 87. He was apparently an alkie. Now, what's wrong about this article, and I'll get over it quickly because this goes back to the old conspiracy theories. The headline is Arab TV commentators claim Obama supports Iran because his father was a Shiite. What the article is missing is that Obama's biological father was really not around during his formative years. Remember, they divorced in 1964 when our president was around 3 years old. So why would you assume that the father would have great influence on the son when he wasn't even around? Kid was 3 years old. He hadn't even lived with his father since he was a month old. So I'm not so sure that this is a correct picture of what influences our president in his dealings with Iran. What do I think? What are his decisions on Iran based on? Valerie Jarrett and her Iranian connections. That is the real story. And that's what's missing from this headline. And now you've heard the rest of the story on the Savage Nation. Quid pro Doe, 855-407-282. Barack Bush. Everything is up for grabs. The phone number again is 855-400-SAVAGE. Let's go to FDL in Fort Lauderdale, Florida on line 6. Go ahead, please. What's on your mind?
Yes, I want to mention something about Jeb Bush that many of your listeners may not know since they don't live in Florida. When Jeb was governor, he weakened the hurricane provisions of the South Florida Building Code. Now, as you know, hurricanes are a serious problem down here in South Florida. Why did Jeb weaken the provisions of the South Florida Building Code? Because he got a donation from the Latin American Builders Association, and they wanted the code weakened. Why? Because it would cost them money if the code was strengthened. They already had homes under construction that they had contracts on. They had homes that they had contracts on yet to be built. And if the enforced stronger hurricane provisions passed, they would lose money because...
I don't doubt anything that you're saying. I get it. So what are you arguing, that he's as corrupt as Hillary?
I'm arguing, yes, that this is something that is not well known, at least out of the state of Florida.
Let's start with this. I'm not a fan of Jeb Bush, but I don't think he's as dirty as the Clintons, by the way.
Well, I'll tell you, I think if you look into it, he did other things, little things that don't help. For instance, he said that
Look, let's be clear. You're a lifetime Democrat. I recognize your voice. You're an attorney. Both perfectly fine. It's a free country. I mean, but you should come with a warning label. You're trying to run Jeb Bush down, which is okay. I don't like Jeb Bush. I think another 8 years of a Bush administration would be 8 years too many. But the thing is I don't know that you're trying to compare apples with oranges. You know, passing bills to change zoning laws for construction codes is one thing. Using your position as Secretary of State to influence federal policy for foreign donors is quite another.
If it's the case, there is, like I say, you can talk about the $300,000 speaking engagement fees that Hillary gets, but that pales in comparison to the $2 million that President Reagan got 2 days after leaving office when he...
But Reagan's not running for office. The last I checked, he's 6 feet under.
Yes, that's true. But, you want to...
Well, so what? Again, you're comparing now apples with pears.
Well, not quite. I'm comparing...
Let me ask you, as a lifetime Democrat, do you really feel good about a woman like Hillary Clinton running for office with this kind of dirt around her?
I'll tell you why. As you said, they all may be corrupt. They all may be in it for some...
So what would she bring America that we need? Tell me what she would bring to America that we need.
In my opinion, a government that seeks to help people, not a government that seeks to...
Are you kidding me? Hillary Clinton's going to bring a government that helps people? While they cashed in from foreign interests, they're going to help the average person?
Look at our governor, Rick Scott, for example, again, a Republican, who refuses to expand Medicaid to 850,000 Floridians who are working but are...
I don't blame him. Who's going to pay for it? You?
You know, I got to tell you,